Good morning and welcome to FuzzFeed206. I'm VesperBat, joined here by my colleagues.
CPD80.
And Project Grizzle.
What happened to the music here? Hang on.
Uh-oh.
Nope. Come on.
No? We're having a hoedown.
Yeah, okay. So we had a little uncomfortable talk about Nightfall this morning, and we're gonna let Taniks call us whatever. He's called us out and he's challenged our honor, and we have no honor, so we're gonna do Siva Heroics. We're gonna do two Siva Heroics, and we're gonna talk about a few things and entertain any questions that might come up. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it to orbit. So, hey gentlemen, have you ever been stopped for a traffic violation?
What?
Have you ever been stopped for a traffic violation? Stopped by the cops?
Have I? Of course.
I have. Yeah, I've received warnings. Who hasn't? That's the whole point. Who hasn't? I've received warnings. I've received tickets. I actually fought a ticket in court once. So.
Did you win, or did the law win, or?
I think I got like a deferred, so I'll call it a push. I mean, I'd take a day off from work, so right. I'm not. Again, this was pre-policing, so one of those things that I think a lot of us are going to be able to say, with a degree of confidence is, the one contact I had with police was on a traffic stop. So I wanted to talk a little bit about traffic enforcement and SPD training. Oh, this is a nice one. The Ishtar Sink. This is the Archon Priest. Cool. Siva Heroics. So get that arc burn on. So when the police make a traffic stop, there's a lot that goes into it. I know I've made countless traffic stops in my patrol career. I'm sure the same could be said for you, CPD80. We train it in the academy. It's one of those things where we're going to stop. We're going to look for a safe location to make sure that someone pulls over in a spot where everyone is comfortable. The officer and the... What did you call up your sparrow there? The officer and the motorist who's being stopped. So it's one of those things. You're driving, you see a police car behind you, you check your speedometer. Will I go too fast? Did I signal? Am I on my cell phone? Why is the officer following me? So maybe you committed a traffic violation. Maybe the officer's just driving the same direction you are. Not a big deal. And so with us, if we're going to make a traffic stop, we're going to go ahead and look for a safe location. And that might mean following you for a little bit until we find a spot in the freeway, a spot on the city street, or on the arterial, where everyone's comfortable. Did you ever have a favorite spot to stop someone, CPD? Like,
I love 19 in Union.
Not location, like in a parking lot, or would you just wait for, have someone go off of an arterial onto a side street?
It's not really up to us a lot of the time. It just ends up being, I would light them up, and then if they pick a place to stop, then I will entertain the idea of doing a traffic stop there.
Awesome. So what was it, 19 in Union? Speeders, people running lights?
A little bit of everything. Just a spot in my neck of the woods that people tended to not necessarily follow some of the rules of the road.
So
Also, we had a lot of complaints from neighborhood residents saying that there were some issues there. So I would head out there and make everybody feel better.
yeah, and that's, I think, another thing that's important to keep in mind is that just because you're getting stopped, doesn't mean you're going to get a ticket. So certainly the ticket is, one of the menu of options that might happen, but a traffic stop does not always result in an infraction or notice of infraction, as they're called. So we'll find a place that we can, conduct a traffic stop that's safe for everybody, that is comfortable for everyone, and there might be a little delay between the time the officer contacts you to the time the traffic stop actually happens. And that's usually a moment where the officer is running a records check on the car and making sure that everything's in order, making sure it's not reported stolen. Stolen cars are a priority for us. We do have a number of cars stolen in our city, being the nature of us being a major metropolitan area. So what we find is that people who commit prolific property crime like mail theft, package theft, car prowls, they'll also steal cars too, and they'll use stolen cars to get from point A to point B, from crime to crime, so to speak. So what that basically means is we're checking to make sure the car's not stolen. And so that's the reason for a little bit of a delay. And I am just wandering the caverns. So back on track. The officer is going to make contact, typically at the driver's side door window. If the officer makes contact at the passenger side window, that's totally normal. Totally normal. And that's not a big deal. Sometimes they'll do that just because of the nature of the road. Maybe it's a really busy street, the lanes are narrow. Don't blame them. I know I've done that in the past too. Sometimes it's just safer.
Yeah.
Did you have a preference, CPD?
I actually like to do it on the passenger side myself. Keeps me out of the road. Use their car as a shield to keep me safe while I'm standing out there in the road and in the rain, wearing a dark uniform. Every opportunity I can to keep myself safe while I'm out there is something I'll take.
Well, that's the thing, right? It rains. This is Seattle. It rains a lot. Actually, it's the Pacific Northwest too, so it's not unusual to get approached on the passenger side. So if the officer approaches you on the passenger side, not a big deal. And typically, the officer's going to do an introduction. It's actually required by our department that we identify ourselves. So I would say, hello, my name is Sergeant Whitcomb, and the reason I am stopping you today is, fill in the blank, whether it's speeding, failure to signal, talking on a cell phone, going over the lane divider. So, and then I might ask, well, is there a reason for the violation? And basically what I'm doing there is I just want to make sure you didn't spill coffee in your lap, or maybe there's a wasp in your car. I don't know. You never know. People sometimes have reasons for erratic driving, and that's important and informative for us to know. Is that accurate? Any feedback, gentlemen, on that?
Well, that's pretty much it. We are reasonable people for the most part. There's a reason moving 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. Well, that reason doesn't necessarily mean you're getting out of a ticket. It means we're at least understanding, and there's a possibility that we might be able to help you out with whatever was going on. So say you're having a baby or something like that, and you need to get to the hospital. we'll make sure that happens. That's not an unheard of event.
No, in fact, what was it? Just a year and a half ago, we had one of our officers stop a car for speeding, and literally, it was a couple who was expecting, and the woman was deep in labor, and the officer ended up delivering the baby. It was amazing. So, yeah, I mean, we don't make assumptions. We just do the traffic stop and then, see what happens next. And certainly, for us, road safety is like our number one priority. We do not have a quota. That's a question we get asked a lot. Is there a quota? Now, do you guys have to write tickets? What's that, Grizzle?
I was going to ask that exact question.
Yeah.
Quotas. The answer
Do you want to ask that question?
Yeah. No. Let's go back in time. And anyway, no quotas.
No quotas.
No quotas.
No quotas. So, the officer stops you. There's no quota. The officer might ask you to drive a couple extra blocks. The officer might approach you on your passenger side window. And, certainly those are variables that just depends on what's going on, etc. So no need to be, alarmed or surprised. Now, all those things happen, and the officer tells you why they stopped. So certainly, you can tell the officer, that you weren't aware of the speed limit. Like, for instance, Seattle had a speed limit reduction here recently. You can, say that you spilled coffee in your lap, or, whatever the reason was. Hopefully you didn't spill coffee in your lap, because that would be painful. But you're going to tell the officer, or not, the reason for your behavior while operating the car. And then the officer is going to ask for a few things. They're going to ask for a driver's license, proof of insurance, and vehicle registration. So, awesome thing about car insurance these days is that you don't need to have that piece of paper. You can actually use a digital copy. So, if you don't have your most current, version in the car, and I'll be honest, a lot of people don't. A lot of people do not. You can just look it up online on your smartphone or tablet and show it the officer that way. So that's pretty cool. Once that's done, officer's going to go back to the patrol car. We have computers in the cars. We're going to run a few things in the databases and then decide whether or not it's going to be just a warning, no ticket, or an actual ticket. And here at the Seattle Police Department, we always are going to do some paperwork on a traffic stop. And that is because I want to say it goes back about 14 years. There were some very meaningful discussions about racial profiling in our city. And, it's something that we're very familiar with in policing. We're aware of the concerns. And, we watch the news just like everyone else, so we know what's happening in other parts of the country, and we know that racial profiling is, a very real concern here locally, and also in other parts of the country and other cities in the United States. So for us, we want to make sure that everything we do is documented, and certainly we train to ensure that we're not stopping people with bias. And we have a policy on bias-free policing that essentially says you are not to stop someone based on any number of local, state, or federal requirements. So there's a number of different, statuses that people might have. If you're a veteran, if you're, young or old, if you are homeless, if you of our particular race or religion. So officers are strictly prohibited. It'd be totally illegal for us to stop someone based on those identifiers alone. And so that's our bias-free policing, policy in a nutshell. And if there's any question about that, if you feel like you've been stopped, because of, fill in the blank, it is your right to actually have a supervisor come to the scene. And it is our policy requirement to call for a supervisor to the scene if that is, something that comes up in a normal course of conversation on a traffic stop. So just to recap, bias policing is strictly prohibited. Racial profiling is strictly prohibited. Everything we do is documented to ensure that we don't have those practices, that we're not engaging in those practices. And, should that come up, if someone says, hey, I think you pulled me over because I wasn't speeding, I signaled, I wasn't on the phone, I can't think of why, and that behavior that you said I did, I wasn't doing, then definitely we will call someone out. We'll call the supervisor out, and we'll ensure that it's documented. Now, it's important to know also that this isn't meant to be like added punishment, right? So you don't have to stick around and wait while someone shows up. So if you think it was a bias stop and the stop is, complete, we'll take your information and we'll do the documentation. We'll notify supervisor, and we'll do all those things. You don't have to stick around and wait. That is not a requirement. So when the stop is over, right, let's just imagine that it was for speeding. Let's also imagine that, the officer is just going to, not write a ticket, but write written warning. We actually call those traffic contact reports. So the written warning it's not really a written warning, right? It's just a piece of paperwork that says that the Seattle Police stopped you for a traffic violation. And it allows us to track all the stops that we make. And so there's no record that's going to go in your DOL that says you were warned for speeding. So that's not going to be held against you. That's not something that we're keeping records on. That's important to know. But certainly you'll have a piece of paper to take with you in case you're late to school, late to work, or what have you. And you can say, well, it's because I got stopped for XYZ. Now, let's say the officer does write you a ticket. You have the option of paying the fine or contesting it, right? So I've contested a ticket before.
Who sets ticket cost?
What's that?
Who sets ticket cost?
How much does a ticket cost?
No. Who sets the cost of a ticket?
Who's got the cost on the ticket?
Who sets the cost?
Oh, who sets the cost of the ticket? It's going to be the court, or rather the city council, the legislative arm, at least in Seattle. Ticket cost is set by a combination of the Washington State Legislature and the city council, and that's part of the Seattle Municipal Code. So it is one of those things where the cost of a ticket in Seattle usually mirrors very closely the cost that it might be out on the freeway. But yeah, I mean, let's be honest, they're expensive, so it might very well be, advantageous to, take it to court and either contest it entirely or, as I've done, explain the circumstances. And in some cases, if it's your first violation, you get leniency. And it's kind of a big deal if you're trying to avoid it going on your traffic record. So have either of you had any experience with that you'd like to share? How about you, Project Grizzle?
I contested a speeding ticket once, and I got it. It was like, I don't know, knocked down from whatever it was to something slightly cheaper, but I had to go into court for the day, and you know, it wasn't. It's an experience, you know, in and of itself, but it's not something that I would necessarily recommend.
And why not?
You know, it's a whole day of you know, I mean, you gotta, you know, one thing I have done is contested through mail, which actually was, I didn't think was going to be a very fulfilling process. I was very cynical, like, oh, this won't do anything, because I actually had, I guess, I thought been cited for, I guess, the wrong thing, and hadn't been, you know, doing what I had been alleged to have done, and wrote in citation, you know, you fill out a form and, you know, explain circumstances, and ended up getting it cleared up. So, yeah, you know, it can be done. We recommend that to people sometimes when they send us questions about or frustrations about tickets on Twitter or whatnot. And yeah, the system works. It can be done.
Yeah, I mean, I've the same kind of thing. You can pay them and just be done with it, right? Or, of course, you can contest it. And I will just say this. If it is your first ticket, if it's your first violation, I totally recommend just going to court and either A, contesting it, or B, seriously, I am the worst jumper, or explaining to a judge or magistrate the circumstances. And the reason being is twofold. The first reason is obviously keeping your traffic record clear, and I think that's a good thing. Secondly, it gives you a chance to experience, you know, the criminal justice process and what that looks like and how it works, and just giving yourself an opportunity to familiarize yourself with court. I mean, in case you ever get called up for jury duty, in case you're just interested in criminal justice, and seeing it from that standpoint, it's pretty amazing. So certainly it can be a little on the dull side if you have to wait for your turn, but participating in that, I think, is certainly worth it, especially if you are going to, you know, keep your record clear. Now, let's say you've already, you know, had a couple of stops. The first one was waived. The second one you paid, and do you have to go in and do it? No. I say just make a value judgment on what you feel is the most appropriate thing for your situation. And I think the last thing I'm going to talk about on traffic stops is dash cam. This is another thing that came up as a result of, you know, concerns regarding racial profiling. And, you know, every car has dash cam. So if there's a violation like speeding or failure to signal, we're going to have that on our in-car video. And, you know, it'll be right there. But also, two very important things about the dash cam. It records the entire incident. So there's the evidentiary purposes of having the dash cam. It also keeps everyone safe. So if there's concerns about bias, there's a record of that. If, you know, the officer is stopping someone in a stolen car and they're brought out at gunpoint and it's a felony stop, you know, there's going to be a record of that. It keeps officers safe. It keeps officers accountable. It keeps, you know, members of the community who are being stopped safe. And it keeps members of the community who may be stopped for traffic crimes or other crimes, helps keep them accountable as well. So we have put a lot of our dash cam online on our YouTube channel, not this one, for public education purposes. And our goal is to, you know, never humiliate anyone. You're not going to see us doing videos where it's at someone's expense. Usually there's an element of public education and public awareness that we provide. And if there's a person, other than an officer, that's part of that video, their face is going to be blurred out. It's not because we didn't have their permission, it's just because we're valuing their privacy. So, gentlemen, does either of you have anything else to offer about our dash cam before we move on to our next topic?
On that same vein, officers don't have the ability to erase that, individual officers.
Yeah, good point.
We've had that issue in the past where the videos disappeared due to technical issues, because everybody knows computers can have problems sometimes. They're not infallible. I'm going to stay on the left on this side, guys. But it's just one of those things. It's like that fear of an officer being able to delete it is misplaced in our case. So you don't have to worry about that one.
Well, that's the other thing. Soon we're going to have body-worn video, too, on top of it. So it's not just going to be dash cam. It's going to be dash cam, and it's going to be the body-worn video. So if you get stopped for traffic, you're going to see it from a couple of different angles. And as the person who's involved in that contact, it's your right to get that. So if you want to contest it in court, that'll be helpful. Wow, that was super quick.
Record time.
If you're just curious about it and you want to see, what's, in the video or how everything unfolded from the officer's standpoint, you're welcome to that as well. And if you are doing academic research or paper or, studying criminal justice and it's something that you're curious about, we've got some video, again, on our YouTube channel, or you can certainly request it. But again, we're going to redact people's images because, valuing their privacy, etc. So, yeah, pretty straightforward. That was like a little too quick, so I think we need to jam on one last.
You want to do one more?
Yeah, let's do one more.
All right.
Super easy. I'm gonna pop another 3 coins. So we've got a few viewers. Viewers, if you have any questions, or if there's a topic you want us to talk about on FuzzFeed regarding the Seattle Police Department or policing or just Destiny the game, just let us know. We're happy to talk about it. So I think we pretty much covered the traffic stops, traffic enforcement, racial profiling. Oh, there was one last thing on that subject before we transition to the next subject. So let's say police stop you, it's in Seattle, and you're just dissatisfied about, how the stop went down. Besides calling for a supervisor, you can also file an OPA complaint. OPA stands for Office of Professional Accountability. And, it's super easy to do. You can do it online, you can do it over the phone. And if you're downtown Seattle and you want to do it in person and you want to talk to someone in person, you can do it that way. You can do it anonymously. So super easy. I think the whole point is there's all these different layers of accountability. And it starts right off with hiring good quality, awesome people that serve on the Seattle Police Department. The men and women are of the highest caliber. And I'm not just saying that because I am one. I see a lot of the work that gets done on a daily basis in our own little shop of public affairs. To the training that goes into the officers before they hit the street, and the policies and the values of the department and the technology that officers have, from dash cam to body-worn video that's coming up soon. And of course, should these things not go completely as intended, and humanity and everything, there's the OPA, and you can have, and it's your right to have a unbiased, objective, independent investigation. So, quick question from LateNix1993. Welcome to the stream. And, right now we are only on PS4. However, we have been talking about also streaming Destiny on Xbox. It's something that we're talking about now. We haven't made decisions yet. And also on that note, we're also talking about looking at a different time where we can stream. I know this one is not the most convenient for everyone, so we want to make sure that we're reaching as many people as possible, and also doing it at a time that's convenient for work and family. So be on the lookout for that. And we've got Roxor says hello, so hello right back.
Hello. Hi.
Okay. I don't think there's anything left on traffic stops. We might come back to it at some point in the future, but for now. Oh, what's up? Trumblebee? No. Yeah. I'm reading that and I just got melted by someone's electricity. C. Trumbly. Hello, C. Trumbly. How are you? Good morning. Welcome to FuzzFeed206. So yeah, we're just talking about traffic stops and that sort of thing, and I don't know, late next rocks or Trumbly, if you've ever been stopped, for whatever violation. We talked about how it unfolds at Seattle and how we train and some of our policies, etc. But I think we want to talk about something that we saw a lot of on Reddit over the weekend. So I'll let you guys take that.
Yeah, Reddit and Twitter, I think, a little bit too. Just, seeing some reports of concern about car prowls, and, we checked the numbers, haven't seen any major increases statistically, but we know that car prowls don't always get reported. A park in Ballard, Golden Gardens came up. Let's see, what was the other one? So I think it was the Greenwood neighborhood. Talked to some of the folks at the North Precinct up there just to ask, hey, are you aware of any sort of statistical increases or major spikes in car prowl activity? And they said that they hadn't had any, upticks in reports that they were aware of. But it also so happens that Ballard, sort of Aurora, Greenwoodish, are two of the most patrolled areas, specifically with an eye toward preventing car prowls. So, thing we always recommend is, if your car does get prowled, very sorry, it's a very frustrating thing, but do report it. That info, really helps make sure we've got officers in the right area working to prevent, other vehicles from being prowled. Get to know your neighbors, so, you guys can all keep an eye out for each other. And, your vehicles park in well-lit areas, and, don't leave anything valuable in your car. I did find a couple reports, and, people were out on a walk, out on a jog, and get back to their car and found that, stuff was gone.
Project, I'm going to stop you right there real quick. So, jumping in here real quick, Trumblebee, you're doing great. This is exactly, if you have a question, just type it in. Roxor, I'm glad you're able to join the stream. Yeah, we are working on a different time. And so, strangest stop you've heard of from your fellow officers, from Russell. Everyone loves strange stops. Before we finish up on car prowls, let's talk about strange traffic stops. How about the one that we posted on YouTube? Not this winter, but the winter before last, guys. That's pretty strange, right?
Oh, the guy who was
the vitamins?
The officer walked up? Oh, yes. That was a pretty odd one.
Yeah.
Odd enough that we pulled the video to make sure we we're seeing what we thought we were seeing.
And it was a good reminder not to, drive under the influence, and especially not to, do coke in front of an officer.
And by coke, we don't mean Coca-Cola.
Indeed.
The gentleman was snorting cocaine.
As the officer was up.
Yeah. So, Latenix says we've got a little bit of a lag. Of course, we'll check that out when we upload it to YouTube and just make sure everything's working as intended, so. Oh, I see. Maybe Trumbly's trying to stream as well. Yeah, so back to car prowls. I think that was the strangest. Did I have any strange ones from my patrol days? I mean, they're all pretty straightforward.
You always get the person who's rolling around in their car naked. That's always
No, I've never had that one.
an interesting one.
Although I do remember, and this is strange but also very sad, when I was in the academy, there was a Seattle police officer working at the North Precinct who stopped a guy who had just murdered someone. And no, it wasn't like Ted Bundy, but still had, I think, part of the body in the car. So that's,
Ooh.
I will say this about traffic stops. Sometimes I've been told, why don't you stop? What are you doing stopping me? I mean, you could just go out and catch a rapist or a murderer. And I think in that particular case, the officer actually did catch a murderer. So, like, literally. And also, like, Ted Bundy was stopped on a traffic stop. And I know I'm kind of dating myself here, but Ted Bundy is, one of the most infamous, awful serial killers. Very prolific. It's like, before the Green River Killer, you had, Ted Bundy. And he was just terrible.
Oh, no.
So,
There we go, gotcha.
I think Latenex and Trumbly are working out some tech issues. We're on a PS4. That's what we're streaming on. And we are just talking about traffic stops. And Russell had asked, what are some of the weirdest things that have happened on traffic stops, for us. And so, I mean, people driving naked, I can honestly say, not been an issue for me. But yes, we do catch very bad people, including murderers, on traffic stops. But, I mean, for the most part, it's just normal folks, right? For the most part, it's just ordinary people who are in a hurry.
What would you say the most frequent reason for a traffic stop that you enacted would be?
Stop signs.
Yeah, stop signs is a big one. Stop signs is a big one.
I caught more people for not stopping at stop signs than anything else.
And for me, I would really lean on areas where I've had to do collision investigations. Like if I'm working patrol and I do a number of collision investigations during a particular month at a particular intersection, in my free time, I will do traffic enforcement there, and I'll look for the same kind of behaviors that contributed to the collisions. Because I will tell you, this was from my patrol days, collision investigations, not my favorite. Like, just literally not. I know some people love doing collision investigations because there's science involved and a lot of evidence collection. You process the site, you measure the skid marks. You look for a video, so it can be pretty detailed. But at the same time, maybe it's just because I work nights and it was often raining, and you're out in the street. Everyone's unhappy because their cars just got smashed. Now, for me, not my favorite.
Not your thing.
Not my thing. Yeah, everyone's got a thing. That's the thing about policing, at least in our city. Everyone is expected to do a little bit of everything, but we've got a lot of folks who have different areas of, interest or, expertise. And that's, I think, really cool. So if someone's looking for a job in policing, you don't have to get locked into doing any one thing. I mean, we have people who actually investigate collisions for a living. And in fact, they get a lot of added training. It is like working in CSI, except instead of investigating like very serious offenses, serious crimes, you're investigating collisions where there's serious injury or loss of life. And in fact, we had a really bad wreck in Seattle last weekend. The one up in North Seattle that was involving an Uber and a gas station, and one of the people from that wreck actually passed away in the hospital. Oh, we need to get that relic. So, yeah, and there's people who just take a great deal of pride in that kind of work. And, again, it's very heavy on the forensics. And there's a lot of added equipment that they bring out to actually, properly diagram, like survey equipment, to properly diagram everything where the evidence was collected. And then there's math involved, so it's one of those things where it just presents an opportunity to do something a little bit different, something that not everyone would have a chance to do in this particular job. So I've got the relic.
I've got the
There's still those two big, whatever, things, spaceship dealies.
Okay, so, I mean, back to car prowls, because it's a subject that we've had a lot of interest in this week, and I know we've talked about it before. And Project, you talked about your car getting broken into. I know my car's been broken into on a couple of different occasions, in Seattle and outside of Seattle. So let's talk about car prowls again.
Yeah, so where do we leave off? Park in well-lit areas, talk to your neighbors. You never know, letting your neighbor know your car got prowled. They may just say, oh, hey, I have a surveillance system. Maybe it got it on video. And also just to, let them know, too, so that they can be mindful of their own vehicle. What else? But yeah, it's something that we are aware of when it happens. It helps when people report them. But something we definitely put a lot of energy into. We've had an AMA with one of our all-pro property crime detectives, Scotty Bach, who investigates a lot of prolific prowlers, car thieves, burglars, and oftentimes, we find those cases are linked. People go out, steal a car, drive around, steal some mail, prowl some vehicles, and when they do get caught, they end up having a pretty long list of crimes they've committed, and in a lot of cases end up getting charged with. So yeah, it's a limited number of people we often find are responsible for a large number of crimes, and car prowling is one of those ones that it's a crime of opportunity. It happens very quickly. It's very frustrating. So just don't leave anything valuable in your car if you can avoid it. And just try to park somewhere where it's visible and well lit, and report if something does happen.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. I mean, we caught a car prowler in North Seattle 2 days ago. We wrote about it yesterday on our blog. So, we do catch these folks. And as Project was saying, they probably, it's not their first rodeo. They've probably stolen a number of things from a number of different cars. So it's important for us when we do get a complaint, if there's information that can assist us in finding the person responsible, we're going to go after it. So don't Oh, okay, good. So, let's see. Are you guys... Yes. Oh, we are so excited. We're so excited for the Age of Triumph. I can't guarantee that I'm going to get 100% completion on the record book, but I'm totally getting the t-shirt. So, I think we're going to have about, what, 6 months to grind that out? Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. In fact, I think, isn't there a stream later today, guys, on that? Or is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, the preview stream. I saw some stuff on social media about it, and some pictures of the Crotazen raid armor was looking hot. So again, here, project. Yeah, and again, so I will just be honest, if we ever have this restorative mind as a Nightfall strike, there is no way we're doing it. None. This one is bananas. This just too many ads. So much fun. Fun prizes. Yeah, it's a very well-designed strike. It actually has some elements of Baltic Glass. I like the fact that you're carrying a relic. The layout's pretty awesome, so I love it as a strike. But streaming and playing on a Nightfall level difficulty does leave a little bit to be desired. Let them have it. Yeah, the gear ornaments are going to look amazing. So yeah, Latenix is just commenting on just the awesomeness that we can expect here in a couple of weeks from some of the new gear. I think Bungie's doing it right. Thanks for the revive!
Oh, no.
No, you didn't.
I was like a second away.
The David.
Should have been spamming that button, man.
Yeah, so now if this was like a Mayhem Nightfall, like they're talking about having, that's gonna be amazing. So just be chanting lightning the entire time. So let's see. Car prowls, we talked about traffic, we talked about the possibility of changing the time. No decisions yet, but we're kind of looking at Wednesday evening as a stream time. We might be able to reach more folks. And for the folks who are watching now, and if you missed part of it, we post it all up on YouTube. So it's all there for everyone to see on FuzzFeed206, our YouTube channel. That guy is very angry.
Yeah, I had a bad time with this one today.
Oh, it's because everything is arc, and it's an arc burn.
Oh, right.
So, do you have the relic? Okay, ads, coming. Yeah, we looked at Taniks, and I'll be honest, I really like that one. And that AR that you get is actually a pretty good one. But when they redid the strike and made it a taken strike, it ramped up the difficulty significantly. But the does not bow, I've spent more than my fair share of time grinding for a god roll on that. Oh, the Shank Nightfall? Yeah. Yeah, Latenix was just... So Latenix, if you go back, I think it's about 3 weeks on our YouTube channel, we spent about an hour at the worst stat. And then we just stopped. It was the worst. And I'm not even sure there was a burn. I don't think there's a burn. I think it just got wrecked. But whatevs. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for us, again, it's not really... If you came to the stream thinking, watch some Destiny pros, teach you a new thing, new trick.
You're so right.
I mean, we're wiping out a Siva Heroic. But
terrible.
yeah, it's a fun game. That's why we're playing this and not something else. It's a fun game. It's well designed, and you know, three of us can talk about police work and shoot robots with red eyes. So, where's the relic? Okay, light them up. These guys make the most weird sounds. That's the other thing. Vaulted Glass is going to be so much fun. You know, there's a Reddit thread. Oh, yeah, there was a Reddit thread on things that people are going to do when, you know, Destiny wraps up. Man. Just grab Project. Don't grab me.
I'm down, man.
Oh. So one of the things that people mentioned doing is just going into the Vaulted Glass and hanging out in the caverns and just appreciating the art design, the level design, and just all the work that went into that. So, yeah, I think I'll do that because it's super cool. Oh yeah, see that's not bad. So Latenix is giving us tips.
Just lit up. You know what to do.
Atheon is going to be the best hard challenge. Oh, I hope it's got the best loot too, because I would love to have a Vex Mythic class with the new ornaments. Favorite, most memorable moment so far in your career? Guys, favorite moment in your career? Most memorable moment?
I hate to say this, but I get to play video games and talk about my job. That's pretty awesome.
Passing out the Doritos at 10 Fest was quite an experience.
That was pretty awesome.
My favorite, most memorable moment is I was teaching at the Community Police Academy, and I had two people that I knew there. One was a reporter at a local radio station, and the other one was a staffer at the mayor's office. And I went up and said hi to each of them, and I did a quick introduction, and they're sitting next to each other, and like months later, I was invited to their wedding. And that was the first time, that they'd met. They basically went out to coffee after the Community Police Academy and just hit it off and started dating as just awesome people individually, and to know that through the Community Police Academy, they met each other, and I thought that was really cool. So for me, that was my unique moment. Yeah, taking out the Gorgons is going to be ridiculous. I mean, back in the day, just be like, yeah, hit them with a Gallahorn, but I'm not convinced that's going to do it. Hey, take out those ads, if you wouldn't mind. And I'll do this here, relic. Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been asking for the old raids to come back, and I totally understand how that's a very complicated thing. You know, we get a lot of feedback at the police department, well, why don't you just do this, or why don't you just do that? And you know what? Oftentimes it's easier said than done.
Never just that easy, is it?
No, it's never just that easy. You don't just like hit a couple of buttons on a keyboard. Oh, there they are. All the new raids are back. So I for one appreciate everything that Bungie's done to close it out and style. So you got him revived. Cool. Where's the relic? Do you have it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take out.
I got it.
I'll take out ads. I think we'll get the stare. Oh, the longest chase you've ever had in your career? Well, it depends. It could be on foot or it could be in a car. And we don't do that many car chases just because they're dangerous for everybody, including us. But especially the public. Ooh, let's take out these ads real quick. Oh, we're in this phase. But yeah, it's, as Chief O'Toole say, police work's more than gunfights and car chases. I know I've had one that's gone a few miles, which was terrifying on several different levels, that turned into a foot chase into a park in the dark. So, I have to tell you, running with a lot of police equipment is not that fun.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, it takes all the fun out of chasing.
And I'll be honest, I'm not gonna lie, some of my foot chases have been like slow jogs. Stop! Don't keep running! I know I had a foot chase in North Seattle of a car thief, and it went a long, long time, over fences and through backyards, and there are like literally people having barbecues telling me which way the person went.
Once again,
and some of my colleagues, pulled up in a car and just watched this guy. Just, at that point, he's doing like a fast walk, and he's just, I'm done. So I was done too. I'm not a marathon runner. I am not. So, late next, hopefully that answers your question.
Like running.
So, I think that's going to wrap up, guys. We've been on for 56 minutes. That's a good amount.
Good.
Yeah, so the first two strikes we got done in like 12 to 15 minutes. This last one was like the full half hour. Ridiculous.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, what are you going to do? So, thank you everyone for joining us today. I'm going to leave matchmaking. Any last words, CPD? Final thoughts? Closing arguments? Words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom, honestly, really, just be safe out there. If you need anything, find a cop. If you need medical attention, I would forego the cop in most circumstances and find a firefighter.
Project, do you have any closing comments?
Just thanks again for tuning in, folks. It's great to see our numbers growing every week, and it's cool to start getting some questions. So we'll keep posted on our new time slot whenever we figure that out.
Yeah, so Roxor, we don't have a special Twitter feed for this channel. We're just using the main @SeattlePD Twitter feed, although you might see us. And we're doing this on our own time. We're playing the video games on our own time here, so we might talk about it on our own personal channels, but look for us on @SeattlePD, because especially if we change the time, we'll let everyone know. So thank you all for joining us, and have a great week. And join one of the FB groups I'm in on Bungie, the community. We'll check it out for sure. I know that's one of the reasons we're streaming Destiny, is just because the community is so awesome, and to have these types of conversations, actually have it make a difference. This is really a channel for us that we wanted to explore, and specifically Destiny. So thank you all for your participation, and we'll hopefully see you next week or at the next available time. And in the meantime, eyes up, Guardians.